All right, let's get right into it. We're about to explore one of the most powerful stories of liberation ever told. It's a story about slavery, an unlikely hero, and a jaw-dropping escape that would go on to define an entire people. This is the story of the Exodus.
So picture this. For 400 years, the idea of freedom was just a distant memory. The children of Israel, who had once been welcome guests in Egypt, were now nothing more than slaves. Their lives were just bitter, hard labor. And to make things even worse, a new pharaoh, terrified of their growing population, ordered all their newborn sons to be thrown into the river. It seemed like all hope was completely gone. The text really captures this feeling of absolute despair. Their cries just rose up because of the bondage.
Now, every great story has a hero, right? But the person chosen for this monumental task was, well, he was anything but your typical hero. This is where we meet Moses, a man literally stuck between two different worlds.
What's so fascinating here is how you can see centuries of history just collapse into these few key points. You see the slide from being prosperous citizens to being slaves. And smack in the middle of all of it, you've got Moses. He's a Hebrew by birth, but raised as an Egyptian prince. Then, after killing an Egyptian overseer, he's forced to flee, becoming a fugitive shepherd in exile. I mean, think about it. He's a man with no people and no real home.
It's out there, in the total emptiness of the desert, that Moses has this incredible, life-changing encounter. He spots a bush that's on fire but somehow isn't burning up. And from inside that fire, he hears a voice. It's the voice of God telling him that the cries of the slaves have been heard and that a plan to deliver them is officially in motion. And this, right here, just perfectly captures Moses' state of mind. His response isn't some heroic, "Yes, I'll do it." No, it's a deeply human, "Who am I?" Can you blame him? He's a fugitive. He apparently has a speech impediment. He's an outcast. In his own mind, he is the last person on earth who should be confronting the king of Egypt to lead an entire nation to freedom. He is just filled with self-doubt.
But despite all that reluctance, Moses agrees to the mission. And that kicks off the next chapter, the direct confrontation. A shepherd, armed with nothing more than a staff and a message from God, is about to go stand before the most powerful man in the known world.
So the lines are drawn in the sand. On one side, you have this divine command, "Let my people go." And on the other, you have Pharaoh's arrogant defiance, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice?" This is a classic battle of wills, and Pharaoh absolutely refuses to budge. So what happens next is this series of absolutely catastrophic events, each one designed to show God's power and to break Pharaoh's stubborn will. And the plagues just keep getting worse. First, the Nile River turns to blood, then hordes of frogs, then hail mixed with fire, and then a darkness so thick you could supposedly feel it. And with every single plague, Pharaoh seems like he's about to give in, only to harden his heart again the moment the plague is over. This all leads to the 10th and final plague, the most terrible one of all, the death of every firstborn son in the land of Egypt. But the Israelites are given very specific instructions to save themselves. It's the Passover. They're told to mark their homes with the blood of a lamb, and they would be spared. When Pharaoh's own son dies, his will is finally and tragically broken. He tells them to just go. And this brings us to the story's incredible cinematic climax. The Israelites are finally on their way out, but their journey to freedom is about to hit its most impossible obstacle yet. Just try to wrap your head around that number for a second. This isn't just a small group of refugees escaping in the night. This is an entire nation on the move. 600,000 men, not even counting women and children. It's a massive, vulnerable crowd marching out into the total unknown. But their freedom doesn't last long. Pharaoh, of course, changes his mind. He chases after them with his entire army of chariots, trapping them right up against the shore of the Red Sea. It looks like it's all over. And then the ultimate miracle happens. The sea splits in two. The Israelites walk across on dry land, and just as the Egyptian army charges in after them, the walls of water crash down, wiping them out for good. The threat is finally, truly over.
You'd think that after witnessing a miracle like that, their faith would be unbreakable, right? Well, what happens next just goes to show that being freed from slavery is one thing, but getting rid of a slave's mindset, that's a whole different battle. The wilderness was about to become their ultimate testing ground.
It's amazing how quickly that celebration turns into sheer panic. This question they ask Moses, it's just dripping with sarcastic fear. They're free, sure, but they're also lost,
hungry and thirsty in a brutal desert. Suddenly, the terrible but familiar life of a slave starts to look a lot better than the terrifying uncertainty of freedom.
And this just becomes the new pattern. There's no water, so they complain. There's no food, so they start wishing they were back in Egypt. They get attacked by enemies. Every single hardship becomes another test of faith, a test they fail pretty often, challenging Moses every step of the way.
So, in response to their complaints about food, another miracle appears, manna. It's described as a kind of bread from heaven that showed up every single morning. But it wasn't just food to fill their stomachs. It was also a daily lesson in trust. They were told to only gather enough for one day, which forced them to rely on God to provide for them again the next day, and the next, for 40 straight years.
Okay, so 3 months into their journey, they arrive at the base of this imposing mountain, Mount Sinai. And this is a truly pivotal moment. It's here that this wandering crowd of former slaves is going to get the blueprint they need to actually become a nation. Amidst thunder and lightning and smoke, Moses goes up the mountain and comes back down with 2 stone tablets. On them are these 10 commandments, a moral and social framework for their new nation. The first 4 basically define their relationship with God, and the next 6 lay out how they should treat each other. This isn't just some list of rules, it's a covenant. It's the foundation for a whole new society, one built not on the whims of a king, but on a shared divine law.
Now, having a constitution is one thing, but actually living by it and trying to forge a true national identity out of a generation of people who have only ever known slavery, well, that was going to be the final and maybe the hardest part of the entire journey.
And they fail almost immediately. While Moses is still up on the mountain, the people get impatient and build a golden calf to worship. But just look at Moses' response here. The reluctant hero who once asked, "Who am I?" is gone. In his place is this passionate leader pleading for his people, even offering up his own life in exchange for their forgiveness. He has truly become their advocate.
To try and heal this broken relationship and bring the people back together, instructions are given for building a tabernacle. This was way more than just a tent. It was a portable sanctuary, a physical symbol of their covenant, and a very visible sign that God's presence was right there with them, in their midst, guiding them as they move forward.
So when you look at it, the Exodus is so much more than just an escape story. It's about the difficult, painful process of transformation, of turning a group of slaves into a people with a law, an identity, and a shared destiny. And it really leaves us with this massive question. Physical freedom is just the first step, but what does it actually take to build a free and lasting nation?